Glad to see you all. Hi.
Hello,
Hello.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's wait a couple minutes. I see people joining us, and then we will start. 2 more minutes, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm just waiting. I'm your host. My name is Tigran, and I'm gonna run this meeting. Just waiting for maybe 2 more minutes. Won't wait too long until people join us. And then we will start. Just 1 more minute, 2 or 3, we will start. Just checking if we have humans to join us. Okay, seems we have 20 participants already joined us. Guys, please, everybody mute your voice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tigran Uzunyan, and I'm a program advisor for the drug development, clinical research, drug safety, and pharmacovigilance certification, a diploma program, actually. And we in our NeuAge Institute. And today we decided to organize a free webinar, a network session for those who are interested in joining us as students. And today I will, first of all, talk a little bit about our institution, and then present you the program, the Drug Development, Clinical Research, and Drug Safety Program. Yeah, we can start. So let me share my screen, and we can start. You guys see my screen, and I can start my presentation. Okay, we decided to call it Path to Clinical Research Career because this is what we're doing. This is the main purpose of our institution, to provide necessary skills and knowledge to start the new career or switch career to the clinical research, which is a part of the very multitask and quite a distinct pharmaceutical industry, right? And today, within our network session, we will mainly talk about one of our educational programs, which is drug development, clinical research, drug safety, and pharmacovigilance certification, CRPV. That's how we call it. And that is within our NeuAge Institute. A couple words about myself. I am a program advisor of this program. I mainly was responsible for the development of the curriculum based on the parent institution we had, and have been working for, I joined since 2020. My background is quite complex, I would say. I am a medical doctor, internationally trained, and research scientist. I've been working in the medicine, in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm specialized in the clinical pharmacology. I have a PhD thesis in the pharmacology. And I've been involved in the clinical research in various roles. As a scientist, started as clinical research coordinator, research pharmacy associate. clinical research scientist, project manager for the research in medical cannabis in various stages of the drug development, specialized in early phases drug development as clinical pharmacologist, of course. And as I said, here in NAI, I am a program advisor for the CRPV program, the program of drug development, clinical research, and pharmacovigilance. Okay. What we doing here? So we are the private college registered in New Jersey and registered in the Board of Education of New Jersey State. And we are specializing in the pharmaceutical sciences. More specifically, we are very industry focused. We do not provide those long academical fundamental curriculum related with the pharmaceutical sciences. We try to focus on the industry, whatever is requested by industry, what kind of knowledge and skills are currently in big demand. And we are very practical because we try to help our students to simply get ready to their first or subsequent job interviews within the pharmaceutical industry, right? Within different career paths in pharmaceutical industry. And my role is to help students to join the clinical research and drug safety sub-industries, right, within the pharma industry. And this is what we are focused on. Though just clearly, we have four main certification programs. First is a QA certification, then Reg Affairs, Regulatory Affairs, QA and Reg, and drug development, clinical research, and pharmacovigilance, or drug safety and pharmacovigilance, right? So those are four main certification programs. Postgraduates, which you can apply, join us, and learn all the necessary courses within this program. In our parent institution, we trained over 5,000 students. Our graduates work in very different sub-industries of the pharma industry. Our usual students are bachelor degrees in science. We have a lot of scientists, pharmacists, even physicians, nurses, PhDs in different scientific industries, but that very typical is a bachelor with some degree in or with some experience from back country or within in US, either related with the science or any pharmaceutical industries, right? So we, of course, as I said, we are very industry focused. We work with appropriate institutions. We collaborated with various private pharmaceutical companies as collaborators. They are our collaborators. They are our partners. We provided some services for them, and our graduates, first of all, find a job there. And of course, we also working together with governmental agencies, first of all, FDA in Canada, Health Canada, and other. We provided training, professional training for them. So the main goal, as our president says, is to address the gap between the academia and the industry, which is quite big sometimes. We have many graduates from different universities who after graduating couldn't find a job, so we help them. They assign to our programs, and then after graduating, we help them to find a job, because we not only providing the appropriate skills and knowledge, we also helping them. For many of them, we provided some co-op opportunities with our collaborating research institutions. I'm talking within the clinical research program, but the same works for other programs as well. So that's why we even supporting our graduates with that job placement as well. But now let's focus on the clinical research and pharmacovigilance. And as far as I understand, you are those who expressed at least some interest and you would like to learn a little bit about this sub-industry or part of the pharmaceutical industry in order to make a decision whether it is worth it to learn the clinical research and pharmacovigilance itself or and why within NeuAge, right? No, first of all, let me admit someone. Okay, why clinical research? Why you may choose this industry? First of all, it never ending, right? Always in big demand, part of the global healthcare and of course pharmaceutical industry, because we have a rising healthcare demand, right? The global population, specifically the US population, is continuously and permanently growing. And also it is becoming more aged. It means that the more and more therapeutical products, including pharmaceutical, biotechnological devices, will be needed, right, to address all those health-related issues, life-threatening diseases, orphan diseases, rare diseases, right? The more we go, the more opportunities are we getting, and the more products we need to develop for them. So that's why it's never-ending industry, even within the during the economical or therapeutic or medical crisis, right? Related with, for example, recent COVID, you see how we still have a lot of things to do. And I think clinical research and pharmaceutical industry was on the very edge of the development of those very important measures, right, to prevent serious pandemics. That even within those parts of the clinical medicine or pharmaceutical industry where we have measures, right, drugs or medicines, we still need to update them, improve them, make them more efficient and safe, right, to further reduce the morbidity and mortality rates. That is the main purpose of the pharmaceutical or medicinal products. And finally, to improve the quality of life of our patients, because drugs and medicines not only extending complications and death of patients, but also we need to make it with decent quality of the life, right? So that's why, as long as this everything is present and still in big demand, the industry itself is never ending and always need a lot of professionals on the ground, on the field, to work within, especially for those who just want to join to the entry-level careers, right? So there is a very big demand, and of course, it is more specifically for the United States. Why? Because there are many key factors that fueling clinical research industry, and particularly United States industry, right? First of all, USA is a home of a number of big pharma companies. I would say all big pharma companies are not only located, if not core US companies, but they are not only present in the market, but they have a lot of clinical research, drug development activities, various pharmaceutical, biotechnological companies, right? And they all do a lot of drug development products. They have huge portfolios within their number of drugs, all of them in various stages of the drug development, hundreds in the early beginning, preclinical, and tens just waiting their marketing authorization. So thousands of drug development products, thousands of clinical trials, all of them are conducted in the most developed and the most, I would say, contemporary market in US. So that's why in US, these jobs related with the clinical research and drug safety will be always in big demand. When we say clinical research, right, we always parallelly mean the pharmacovigilance and drug safety, because this part is substantial part of the clinical research and pharmaceutical industry. It started from the very beginning when we just start drug development in the preclinical and then clinical phase. We record all safety data about the newly developed product, and then continues in post-approval stage. So the pharmacovigilance and clinical research are both integrated part of this industry. Another foiling factor is the regulatory framework, right? So we always develop, upgrade, edit, change, revise various laws, regulations, guidelines, whether national by FDA or international by, let's say, International Conference, Council of Harmonization. So a lot of different standards which ensuring, right, reliable data obtaining from the clinical trials, and of course safety of our patients, because these are the patients, the humans are main materials, right, subjects of our clinical trials. So we have to make sure that they, as participants, their rights will never be compromised, their safety will be protected, and we obtain the reliable data from our clinical trials. Those reliable data will support the appropriate evidence to whether approve the drug or deny that marketing authorization. Another factor, technological advances, right? So the methods, the tools, right, of running clinical trials and clinical research are always changing, right? Like when I started 20 years ago, we were mainly manipulating through the papers, right? Paper documents, paper CRFs. Now we do with a lot of electronic device, right? Different new technologies, wearable devices, telemedicine. This everything is involved in the clinical research. So we're running the distinct clinical trials, remote clinical trials. We enroll a lot of new technologies in the clinical trials. So that's why this industry is not old. It's always updated. So that's why this is another key factor, that this industry needs a lot of new workforce and will always continue, right? Another important factor, data-driven decision making. So we live in the era of data, right? We multiple, huge, large amounts of data are generated every day in thousands of clinical trials, and many of them conducted in USA, of course. So those data, right? We learned how to work with this data. We learned how to use those data from the different models, sometimes animal models, to avoid extra involvement of big numbers of patients, to protect their safety, right? So we now, and the regulatory agencies, for example, FDA, they encourage pharmaceutical company to use these models, data-driven technologies, why not artificial intelligence, to save resources and time in the drug developments, which is, of course, another very important factor, and that also boosting the clinical research and pharmaceutical industry. Okay. Next key factor is personalized medicine, right? So it's when we tailoring the product or some measure, right, for the prevention of treatment for the specific patient, right, which makes it more effective, more targeted, and minimizing the side effects and optimizing the patient care, right? So this factor also contributes to the development of the clinical research and makes it more attractive. Diverse patient population in US, we know that we have very big range of ethnic and different genetic backgrounds, so humans with different backgrounds, which makes it more attractable, right, for the global products development, right? So, for example, if you want to develop the drug which is supposed to be marketed all over the world, right, you better have the appropriate distinct population, right? Diverse population, because you need to enroll all ethnic groups, racial groups, and US has that diverse population. So you may run the study in the US only, and that data from very distinct population may provide you enough evidence to authorize the product in very different markets, including Asian markets, European markets, African markets, and Americans. Okay. Clinical trial innovation, another important factor, which again, we updating, improving, make them more effective, those tools of clinical trials. And that means that industry doesn't stuck on the old methods, it always updated. So that means that another boosting to the industry is upcoming. And most importantly, the industry is funded significantly. You know, all big pharmas, let's say first 10 or 20 or even 30, those are companies which sponsoring the clinical research projects, mainly clinical trials, right? A majority of the funds coming from the pharmaceutical companies. That means that they always in big demand of running clinical trials. So those career paths are always present, right? And also another source of funding is government. For example, U.S. National Institute of Health is the biggest governmental funding organization in the world. They have tens of affiliated other institutions. Their budgets are comparable with middle-sized European country GDP. Imagine how strong they are. So they also funding many different research projects, and you may find your future career in those research institutions as well, not only the private sector, but also the academia and governmental public sectors are funding this industry, fueling the resources into this industry. And there is a very strong collaboration. And US, one of those countries where private and public sector are in the very big and good collaboration, strong collaboration. So you may find a lot of clinical research projects funded by various organizations, and that also another factor that fueling the clinical research industry, right? So this is why you may be sure that clinical research industry is very big demand, and it conducts a lot of projects and will stay in US for a very long time. So this is about the industry itself. Now let's dive into the various career paths, right? Before starting talking about different possible jobs that you may find in clinical research and drug safety. Let me just present you the clinical trial process itself. So you can see that the process is simply saying a collaboration or interaction between different stakeholders, right? The main and the most important part, as you can see, is a sponsor. We call sponsor organization, or actually private person who funds the study, the clinical trial, initiated, design the study, creates the research hypothesis, creates the protocol, and then usually there's pharmaceutical companies or governmental organizations, they do not run their own studies. They outsource the clinical trials, right? And various contract research organizations, medical institutions, clinics, medical private physicians, right? They are actually conducting those clinical trials according to the protocol which is developed by the sponsor, right? Sponsor is responsible to develop the protocol, approve it through the appropriate regulatory agency, governmental agency. In US it is FDA, and also the protocol has to be cleared by the IRB or ethical committee, right? Their role is a group of scientists, physicians who will review the protocol and make sure that the study is ethical, right? The rights and health of patients is protected. And then you see another stakeholder, a site, right? The sponsor also need to select the site, actually the place, right? Where the study will be done. It might be one single site study, very short, right? Small, or usually early phases studies are conducted in one center, or it might be multi-site studies, right? So imagine for big late phase studies where we are running multi-thousand clinical trials, right? Where patients are thousands, it's impossible to enroll all patients in one single site. So we run the study according to the same protocol in hundreds of various sites. Those sites are located in different states, in different countries, and sometimes in different continents, right? And of course, there is someone who need to manage all these sites together, right? Connect them and help sponsor to report about the results of the study to the appropriate regulatory agency, right? When those results will be used to support the marketing authorization. And of course, there are a lot of intermediate stakeholders who help the sponsor to run this process. You see, first of all, what site does. Site enrolls all the study, recruits the patients, run the study. The only person who is entirely responsible for the patient safety, for the running the study according to the protocol, we call them principal investigator, right? So it's usually a physician who actually is responsible for everything within the site, right? All other team members, investigators, they are reported to the principal investigator, but in front of the sponsor and regulatory agent, right, and IRB, the only person who is responsible is that principal investigator. Principal investigator delegates various activities within this clinical trial to different investigators, right, sub-investigators, clinical research coordinators, recruiters, data management team, right? Usually there is a big team when the study is big. So those the team collects the data from various sites, right, and organize it, clean it, QA it, QC it, analyze that when the data are clean, when there is no other questions regarding the patient's data. These data are analyzed. Biostatisticians are reviewing the analyzing the results of the study and publicate, of course, appropriately. Of course, the site is monitored, right? Like since we said that sponsor is delegating, right, that clinical trial conductors to the site. They need someone who will monitor the study, right? So they send their clinical monitors or clinical trial associates. That's how we call them. They go visit the sites. They first organize the study with the sites. Then they they visit the site during the study, right? Make sure that site is running the study according to the protocol, right? Drugs are administered properly. The patients are enrolled according to the eligibility criteria, right? Safety is protected. All adverse events are reported, right? So those are those things that need to be checked by the monitors, right? Of course, all investigators need to be trained, right? So someone is responsible for training. Then, of course, site might be audited, not always, but sometimes, let's say FDA. If FDA receives a lot of data from some big sites, or if from one side a lot of alarms related to the patient safety or non-compliance or some other troubles come, right? They may send the audit, right? Or sometimes even inspection, right? The site might be audited by the private organization, by the sponsor, or might be inspected by the FDA. So they go and check conducting the QA process. They check whether the site is properly managed, whether the site has appropriate documentation, whether the investigators are trained, they know what they do, right? I already mentioned the data management because especially for the big studies, for big clinical trials, we're generating like terabytes of information which need to be managed appropriately, right? And by the end of the study, when all patients finish their procedures, right? When the last patient completed the treatment and all adverse events are addressed, all side effects are treated. If something happened, right? All missing data are provided, all questions are cleaned, then the study is closed out and the study is completed. Then the results are published, right? And that's how we learn about them through the different publications, journals, and books. That's the whole process. And of course, since I mentioned the pharmacovigilance as an integral part of the clinical research, you can assume that during the clinical trial, we generate a lot of information about the safety, right? We collect information about every new adverse event, add it to the safety database. When the study is done, when all studies are done, when the product is approved, then pharmacovigilance team within the pharmaceutical company or outsourced by another organization will collect all the data about the safety adverse events from the physicians who administer the drug, from the pharmacists, from registered nurses, from anybody, any healthcare professional, or even from the patients, and even other sources that may complain or provide some safety concerns about the drug. That information is collected, that information is combined in appropriate periodic safety reports, and the sponsor, the owner of the drug, we call them marketing authorization holder, is responsible to submit that reports to the regulatory agency, right, in order to sustain the drug within the marketing authorization. Okay, so I describe you in very short 5-10 minutes the whole process of the clinical research plus pharmacovigilance. Any questions so far, guys? Something you want me to clarify? Did you follow what we talked about? If you have questions, like some related with the presentation or even not related, some clinical research, please hold them. I will answer them after I finish. I'm always finishing. Yes, I have some excellent information so far. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, so let's move on. Not very much remaining, actually. Okay, since I mentioned the process, I described the process and of clinical research, clinical trials, and pharmacovigilance. Here are the main professions, right? Career opportunities that you may have or apply for after graduating NAI or any other college or institution providing appropriate skills. So we cover pretty much everything. I will show you our certification program curriculum, the titles of all courses, and you can see how big is the coverage of clinical research and pharmacovigilance. But first, let's talk about the career opportunities. The first and the most common job that you may find in clinical research is clinical research coordinator. Why I mentioned them? Because those are the main, I would say, working forces, right, in the clinical research. Those are the people who pretty much can do everything. They can recruit the patients, screen them, administer the drug, fill out all the paper documents, conduct all the measurements, right? Even take the blood, manage the investigational product, especially in the late phase studies, and when the study is multi-site. So let's say we have 100 sites, right? So those sites might be present in the first small like a primary physician, family physician clinic, or it might be in some small department, right? So that means that these people, besides the PI, they don't have a lot of resources, right? So that's why many responsibilities are run by the clinical research coordinator. Another very key person, which I mentioned when I described the clinical trials, is the monitor, or sometimes officially in many cases, the title is clinical research associate. Clinical research associate works on behalf of sponsor, as I said, might be employee of sponsor or outsourced by the external organization, but with working agreement of sponsor. So the role of monitor to visit the site, right? First organize the site, approach the PI, organize all the training and appropriate activities, then of course monitor the study, right? Make sure that the study is conducted according to the protocol, first of all, and all appropriate national and international guidelines, right? GCP, Good Clinical Practice Guideline, which is like our Bible, I would say, right? Then, of course, FDA regulation, Code of Federal Regulation, all guidelines of FDA and other international guidelines, right? And of course, their role is very important. Usually, CRAs are more experienced, ex-CRCs, ex-clinical research coordinators. You can apply for this job either if you had some experience, if you, let's say, are a new immigrant in US and had that experience from your back country, you have more chances to be enrolled as a CRA in any research as a institution, CRO, or pharmaceutical industry, pharmaceutical company right away, or through the clinical research coordinator path. Okay. More experienced, more managerial, I would say, position is clinical research project manager. You don't have to have like clinical research specific experience, but you may have the project manager experience to run these studies. But of course, some previous experience in the clinical research still needed, right? So you may, some organizations, some medical institutions, they categorize CRCs, this first position, CRC, clinical research coordinator, in various degrees. For example, CRC1, CRC2, CRC3. So CRC3 is the most experienced managerial senior CRC who runs the study and actually might be the project manager. Okay. Another important position is, let's talk about the clinical pharmacist. So the clinical pharmacist is working typically in big research institution, right? Specialized in early phase studies. In that case, you don't have the final finished product, right? It might be just a powder for solution preparation, right? So that means that the site, the clinical research site where a study is conducted, right, on, let's say, healthy volunteers, the first time in human study, right? The sites receive just a bulk powder, and they need to prepare the drug forms, right? In that case, of course, they need someone who has appropriate license of pharmacist, or at least pharmacist technician or associate, who will make these drug forms ready for the administration. Okay, not all sites, not all institutions have, but some you may have, like, if you are not a licensed pharmacist, but you have, let's say, pharmacist technician, and you want to join the clinical research path, so you can find this job as well in those institutions. A clinical lab technician, also, those people help the research institution to take the tests, run them if they have clinical laboratory, or sometimes they may have analytical lab, right? So those people who have that experience working in the lab also may join this team. Medical writer, clinical scientist, those people who writing the protocols and then also preparing the clinical study reports, right? So when study is done, completed, the site need to prepare the report, right? So whatever they did, they need to make a clinical study report, which will send back to the sponsor. And then sponsor will use that report appropriately. So these people help them to write those reports. Medical information associate, this is more experienced person who helps in data management, code different adverse event using the appropriate tools, right? Sometimes they may work as a medical monitors. They help principal investigator to make decision about patients' participation, continuation in the study. Of course, a very important role might be for the regulatory affairs specialist, right? You may a little bit confused with other reg specialists in the pharmaceutical industry, but this is not about CTD document development or NDA development. This is about submission of the protocol, right, to FDA, submission to the IRB, some correspondence with the regulatory agency, right? Those who have experience in and knowledge of regulation, of guidelines, right? They may join as reg affairs specialists, right? Yeah, I will review all the questions, guys, and after I finish, I'm finishing soon. QA/QC, this is also should not be confused with the pharmaceutical QA/QC, because, of course, when we say QA/QC, we first of all mean those who participating in the pure pharmaceutical production, right? So they QA and QCing the manufacturing process, but clinical research and pharmacovigilance they have their own QA/QC. Wherever you have the system, wherever you have the quality system, right, then you would have the QC specialist team or just one person who will verify, right, the clinical research investigator's job, right? So let's say someone is doing very tiny operation, right, dispensing the drugs, administering the drugs, or taking the blood samples, and a very strict accuracy is needed, right? Someone may help or verify that process to make sure that it is done exactly according to the protocol. And of course, QA specialist, QA team, QA manager, they doing a QA job, so they make sure that the site is possessing appropriate systems, materials, training. They follow the appropriate guidelines and regulation. Those are more experienced specialists. You cannot become a QA/QC specialist right away. If you had an experience, as I said, you may find a job right away. But usually those people this is like a next level, right? More experienced specialists from the clinical research might become, there is no specific specialization, certification, there is no diploma of that job, but you may become, any of you, potentially may be a QA/QC specialist. Submission reviewer, it's another regulatory affairs specialist who reviews the submitted documents to the regulatory agencies or other institutions. Clinical data management specialist, might be manager, might be just a member team. Those are very important people who are, as I said, dealing with the data. They help cleaning the clinical data. They check that all data are entered appropriately, right? And finally, inspector or auditor, those, again, experienced clinical research pharmacovigilance specialists who running other internal or external audits or inspect on behalf of governmental agencies, usually FDA or other regulators. Okay, so those are the main professions, main career opportunities that you can find after graduating our drug development, clinical research, drug safety, and pharmacovigilance program. Okay, how you can get started, right? So this is the program curriculum. As you can see, we divide it on 3 main levels. No, I would say 2. The third is the final project, just a written project as a compilation of your knowledge gained. Most of the courses are split on 2 main levels. You can see from the names, you can visit NeuAge site and review by your own, and even read the outlines of them. We cover everything. We first introduce, then we start from the very beginning, from the non-clinical research, and go through all clinical research phases from the IND application, then the introduction to the drug development process, right? Principles of the GCP, the very basics, right? Then we teach how to administer the clinical trials, right? What kind of documents and the tools we use. Then we have a course for the medical device regulation, right? Because it is also a part of the product development. We're introducing to the pharmacovigilance, the first pharmacovigilance introductory course. Then a little bit more upgraded pharmacovigilance, right? The pharmacovigilance throughout the entire drug cycle. A very important course of drug data management, right? How we manage the data generated during clinical trials. Then another global clinical research and pharmacovigilance course. Then a first technical writing, scientific writing. So we have 2 technical writing courses within which we teaching how to write the very basic documents, scientific abstracts, letters, memos to file, SOPs, protocols, ICFs, right? Everything is included within that. And after the first level, you have 2 individual projects, like practical projects. And after the second one, you have another one. Okay. So all courses, including the material, of course, self-paced educational recordings, right? So you listen the recordings of the instructors along with the appropriate material slides. You then have assignments, 1 or 2, depending on the complexity of the course, sometimes midterm and always final exam, right? For passing the 60% of that, you may complete the course. The second level, it's a little bit more upgraded. So it's about clinical pharmacology. It's about the biotechnology, more advanced than regulatory pathways, right? Regulation, biostatistics, very useful course for those who are interested in the basics of the biostatistics. Then medical writing in pharmacovigilance, clinical trials monitoring, auditing and inspections, right? Project management, specific course, and the last, technical writing. This is the curriculum of our NeuAge drug development, clinical research, and drug safety pharmacovigilance program. So you can review and see we cover pretty much everything. Anything related with the clinical research, you may find answers through listening and passing our courses. Okay. What kind of advantages? Why NeuAge? First of all, we are very flexible. You don't have to wait until the beginning of the academic year or the half of it, right? You can be enrolled anytime you want. And also we are flexible for the hours. You can have your main job and assign to the course with self-paced online education, right? That is, of course, very important for the flexibility. We have very strong reputation in the industry and through collaborating organizations, and of course, because of our graduates. We have a lot of connections in the industry, right? The more we will work, the more connections we have, and the more we will be helpful for you, for graduates, to find a job. And finally, as I said, very flexible in finding the options for the study. Okay, so that's why this is what we can offer, and this is the way that you can contact us, either through email or visiting the site and reviewing the programs. Okay, this is pretty much it, which I wanted to share with you. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Let me first read the first question in the chat. Hi, Tigran, how are you? I have enrolled in CRPV program, but I wasn't sure if the program you mentioned is the same as the one I enrolled in. No, if you enrolled in the CRPV, that is exactly what I was describing. Yes, exactly. The code of the program is CRPV. Yes. Other questions, guys?
Hi, Tigran.
Hi.
Am I audible to you?
Hi. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I got the answer as well as I just want to make sure that I enrolled in this program. So it's been almost like on February I started. So I got the break because of my graduation and some visa processing.
Yeah.
So can I continue?
Yes, of course,
like from...
of course. Just make sure that you talk to the administrator, please.
Jason.
Coordinator. Yes, you can talk to Jason as well. Jason, are you here? I think I know some students took a break, and then we provided that opportunity to continue.
Yeah, Vamsi, yeah. Feel free to email me directly. So do you still have my email? If not, I can leave it in the chat for you.
Yeah, I already. Oh, I don't have direct message email to you because there is like in between you and there is a NeuAge Institute, right?
Sure.
So I don't have any direct email. If you provide, it would be much easier for me to contact you anytime.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just left it in the chat for everyone there. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me directly. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
sure,
welcome
Jason.
back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I was a bit busy because of my
no worries. Yeah.
Schedules and everything. So right
That's
now,
okay.
can I continue? I would like to continue as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Let's we'll connect. Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Okay,
Good to see
Gao
you.
asks about whether there are any sponsored pharmacovigilance courses from NAI. I'm not sure whether I understand it properly. So you mean whether some specific private pharmaceutical company sponsors the course, or can you please clarify what you mean? We have 3 pharmacovigilance courses within our program. Okay, so yeah, no, they are not sponsored by specific pharmaceutical companies. They are actually developed and provided throughout our program, and completing them, you may find your job in those pharmaceutical companies or wherever those jobs are requested. But yeah, they are not sponsored specifically by pharmaceutical companies. Okay, other questions? Yeah, we will share the materials. Yes, sure.
So Tigran, looks like we have 2 more questions in the chat just now.
Oh, okay.
One's asking what opportunities are there for established senior biochemists if they're looking to switch careers? And the second one is how many hours will it take to complete all of level 1? So perhaps you could get to Lizzie's questions about level 1, and then I can address the other one.
Yeah, it depends on your how much time you can afford, to be honest. I knew the students who could finish the course, one single course, like within that level. We have 9, I believe. Let's say within 2 weeks, right? So it depends how free you are, how much time you can afford. Usually it takes like usually students take like 3-4 courses simultaneously, and if they may afford, let's say 2-3 hours daily, then they may finish it very soon.
Yeah. So Lizzie, just to clarify what Tigran is saying there, it's 3 levels. Level 3 is mostly projects, whereas level 1 and 2, there are about 10 modules in total, right, Tigran? So
Yep.
Probably if we have to put a time on it, probably about 12 weeks for all of level 1, 12 to 16 weeks. As Tigran said, really depends on how much time you can dedicate to it. But that's around the timeline. So I hope that answers your question, Lizzie.
And it also depends on your background and basic background knowledge, right? So if you have an experience, or if you are, let's say, medically educated, so if you're closer to of course, it will be much easier for you to because the program is developed based on the knowledge, right? So from the very scratch, from the very beginning. So that's why something that might well known for you, so you may not spend that much time. For those who just the beginners, of course, they would spend more time.
So the other question, Tigran, I could perhaps address. So hello, everyone. I'm the Director of Operations here with NAI. So when it comes to someone like yourself, who's a senior biochemist and you're looking to switch careers, a biochemist role is typically more benchtop, more hands-on type of role. But if you're looking for more regulatory-based, compliance-based type of roles, but beyond clinical research that Tigran has expressed, there's also roles in quality assurance and regulatory affairs. Okay, so unlike clinical research, you're dealing more on the manufacturing side for quality assurance. So there is QA for clinical research, but there's also QA on the manufacturing side of the business. So you have to be quite familiar with regulations like CGMP, or current good manufacturing practices. Okay. And then on the regulatory affairs side as well, I know Tigran touched upon that as well. Basically, this is the department that does filing and submissions, so they get products approved in the market. So having a science background, biochemistry or other science background, it is important to operate in this role because you need to understand the documents that you're submitting as well. So my advice, if you're looking to switch careers as a senior biochemist, is to look into regulatory affairs or quality assurance, okay? Whereas a clinical research, as Tigran expressed, it's more for those with a medical background or pharmacy background as well, right? So I hope that information helps. Okay, you're welcome. Tigran, I think that question is for you from ProChat. He's asking if they're asking if they can take technical writing level 1 and 2 simultaneously, because you're more familiar with the courses. What do you think there?
Yeah, I would say for the second level, you need a little bit more. You need to be a little bit more advanced in other parts, because the second level take into consideration that you have that background of monitoring, running the study, so it might need more knowledge. But I would say like if there is no need to follow them right away each other, so that's why you can take other courses and only after at least a few courses from the level 2 and only after be assigned for the second level. Yeah. Because we assume that the person who assigned for the second level is advanced in this everything. So
that's right.
The assignments, the project might be more easy.
Yeah, we want to make sure that you're successful in the course, and having that base knowledge from level 2 would help. Yeah. Do we have any other questions here regarding the programs, the professions? I want to know, did all of you learn anything from this webinar? Did you enjoy a webinar series like this? Because we're looking to host more for other pharmaceutical professions.
Sorry, I will interrupt. There is a new interesting question. Are these courses more US-centric or covers global?
Great question.
They are US-centric, but you know, or maybe not, the pharmaceutical industry and clinical research, pharmacovigilance sub-industries, they are globally. They are very global. So all standards, all guidelines are developed, taking into consideration that those are all activities are global and data used in a global manner. Of course, we have US regulation, we have US specific ways of running clinical trials. So that's why, yes, NAI program enrolls mainly, first of all, but we, of course, mention other jurisdictions as well. For example, Health Canada. Sometimes we may even highlight the differences, comparisons, and of course, European Medical Agency approaches as well, right? So that's why, yes, it is US-centric, but some global, where you need to compare those items, of course, will be presented as well.
Thank you for the question there, Suresh. But yes, really want to thank you all for attending this webinar. As I mentioned in the chat before, we are going to be posting up the presentation along with the recording as well, so that you can watch it again. And thank you, Lizzie. And we have one more question here. Do we offer scholarships and funding for students who? Yes, we absolutely do. So we do have a scholarship program for all of our programs. I will make sure that my admin team reaches out to you. I believe it's Letzo, right? I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly, but I'll ask my team to reach out to you and send you additional information on the bursary and scholarships that we offer.
Another question there is. Oh, yeah, thank you, Justice. Yeah, let me also thank all of you guys for joining us, participating, and listening to me. It was my pleasure to share with you about our college, and we always welcome everyone and would do our best to help you to join the industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. So again, I will leave my email here in the chat so that you can reach out to me directly, and we will connect you with our registration team, and they can assist you if you have any questions. But absolutely, we'll do more of these webinars on various sectors of the industry, and feel free to reach out to us. And for those of you who requested for scholarship information, my team will be in touch with you as well. Okay, so thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys. Bye.